Good afternoon and welcome everyone to our webinar today, Leadership Unlocked, SAEM Nominations and Opportunities. My name is Jody Vogel. I'm the president-elect for the Society for Academic Emergency Medicine. We welcome and appreciate you joining us today and very much look forward to talking with you. Next slide, please. We'll start off first by introducing ourselves and telling a little bit about our background. So we'll start with the nominating committee. As I mentioned, my name is Jody Vogel. And I just wanted to share with you that my journey with SAEM has been an incredibly positive experience. I actually was the resident member of the SAEM Board of Directors, subsequently was involved with the program committee and the research committee, and then was a member of the board, and now I'm currently the president-elect. I'm also vice chair for academic affairs at Stanford University. So welcome. We'll go to our next person. We have Dr. Ali Raja. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us today, but he's our SAEM immediate past president. And then I'd like to pass it off to Angela Jarman, who was not able to join us either. She is a member of the nominating committee and she was elected by the membership. So I'll pass it off to Nancy Kwan.
Hi there, my name is Nancy Kwan. I'm currently one of the members of the nominating committee and I have had a long history of being part of SAEM since I was a resident, and it's really been one of the most formative experiences in healthcare, and have been part of the research committee, was a former member of the equity committee, and was the chair of the SAEM faculty development committee. Thank you and welcome.
Wonderful, thank you, Nancy. And then if Dustin Williams, if you could please introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Dustin Williams. I am now a full professor at UT Southwestern in Dallas, where I also get to serve as the residency program director. I've been a long-standing member of SAEM now over 10 years. During that time, I've been an active member in ADIEM, where I've had the opportunity to serve on the LGBTQIA subcommittee as their chair. I also serve as the annual host and trivia master for our annual LGBTQIA social and trivia every year at our annual meeting. I'm on numerous committees. I feel like I've been on almost every SAEM committee by this time. I'm currently serving on the awards committee as well as the program committee, where I am the subcommittee chair for advanced workshops. I am the chair of our membership committee, and I was a board appointed member to our nominations committee. In the past, I have ran for the ADIM board of directors position twice unsuccessfully, and I've also ran for the bylaws committee as well as the nominations committee. So that's great to see everybody. Thanks, Jody.
Thank you, Dustin. Wonderful. And then additional members of our nominating committee include Jeff Druck, who unfortunately wasn't able to join today. He's a board member and he was elected by the board to serve on the nominating committee. And then we also have Dr. Mark Courtney, who is the past president representative on the nominating committee, and he was also elected by the board. Dr. Courtney will be joining us shortly, and we look forward to that. But you can see, just having heard the brief introductions here today, what people come from all different areas of the society with varied interests to serve in leadership roles within SAEM. So please keep that in mind as we continue. And now I'd like to go on to introduce our bylaws committee. Ronnie Otero.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Ronnie Otero. I am currently the chair of the Bylaws and Governance Committee. I also co-chair the vice chair and interest group committee. And similar to many of the people you heard from, I've been a member of SAEM actually for over 2 decades. So always happy to serve SAEM. I also work on the finance committee, ADIM. I am currently on the program committee. And I've also worked with, I think Edgar is here too. Dr. Ordonez is here too.
Yes. Edgar, if you could please introduce yourself.
Yes. Hello, Edgar Ordonez. I'm here at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, Texas, Associate Professor of Emergency Medicine and Internal Medicine. My previous roles within SAEM have been as a past president of ADIEM. I've also been involved with the Equity and Inclusion Committee previously, and also the Awards Committee. Currently serving my first year in the 3-year term of the Bylaws and Governance Committee. Excited to be, part of this committee. As everybody knows, the Bylaws Committee is basically the foundation of our organization, and my interest in it stemmed from being, someone who cares about fairness and making sure that our members' voices count. So excited to be here and to, talk to anybody who's interested about this and for their future.
Wonderful. Thank you, Edgar. And I do see that Dr. Raja has joined us as well. Ali, would you be willing to introduce yourself, please?
Thanks, Dr. Vogel. Sorry about the delay. My name is Ali Raja. I'm the past president of SAEM. But prior to that was on a number of committees and interest groups. And so I'm just really excited to welcome people who are more interested in getting more involved with SAEM and looking forward to answering any questions that anybody has.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. SAM really is your partner in leadership development. So when we think about opportunities within the organization, it's a chance to, both advance academic emergency medicine through education, research, and professional development, but it's also an opportunity for you in your desired career, in your career development going forward. At the link there under the strategic plan, you can see the SAM strategic plan with our focus on the 3 core pillars of medical education, research, professional development, and support. So this is the focus of the organization and provides a lot of opportunity for those who are interested in leadership and career development. Next slide, please. So just to go over the schedule for the nomination and election, the call for nominations opened earlier this week. You may have noticed it, and then the nominations will close on November 7th. So please keep this in mind to make sure that you have your nomination in by the deadline. And the slate, our goal will be late November. We will be working, the nominating committee will be working, reviewing all of the materials. And our plan is to present a diverse slate presented to the board for approval. And then the elections open in January. And then candidates are noted mid-February according to the dates on the slide. I do want to just let you know that our process for the review of nominations is blinded. So when you complete your nomination materials, please be sure to include all of the details of your activities and your interests as they relate to SAM and the strategic plan, because since the nominations are blinded, even though we may have knowledge of you otherwise, during the blinding of that process, we won't know who the particular applicants are. So it's very important that you have a thorough and complete nomination packet submitted. And I do want to just pause here and say if anyone has questions along the way, or if other members of the nominating committee or bylaws committee have any additional comments, please feel free to stop me at any time. So for the opportunities, currently for the SAM Board of Directors, we have 1 president-elect position, 1 secretary-treasurer position, and then there are 2 member-at-large positions and a resident member position. And so it's important to know that the resident member position is separate and distinct from RAMS. So it is a resident board member position. It's the position that I had when I was a resident. And the resident is very involved and it's a wonderful opportunity for them. So if you have any residents in your program that you think may be good candidates, please do encourage them to apply or nominate them yourself. The bylaws committee, there's 1 position available. And then the nominating committee also has 1 position available. And the bylaws committee will be talking a little bit more in detail in slides a little bit later in the presentation to give more information about the bylaws committee. And the nominating committee is the group that you're talking with right now in terms of we identify potential candidates and develop a slate for the elections that occur through the December-January timeframe. And we'll talk in a little more detail when we get to the handbook. And then the RAMS board, you can see there, in order to be a part of the RAMS board, you must be a resident or student SAM member, and the positions are listed there. And those have been posted to the RAMS site for for residents to review, consider, apply for, and be elected to. And then AACEM is the chairs group within SAM. They have 1 member-at-large position, and to be eligible for that, you must be a chair and a full member of AACEM. And then finally, we have the SAM Foundation. They have 1 president-elect, 1 secretary-treasurer, and 4 member-at-large. And the SAM Foundation, we'll talk a little bit more in detail about that. Their specific focus is on fundraising and obtaining support so that the society can further support research in emergency care. These are the Academy nomination opportunities. I heard many discussions in the introductions about people who've been involved with academies. So you can see the academies listed there with the various positions that are available. And I would strongly encourage you, or if you know colleagues who may be good candidates for these roles, to consider them. It's an important opportunity to be involved at this level within the society, and lots of different groups there to consider. We'll see a question in the chat. The resident member of the SAM Board of Directors, I'll clarify with Karen, I don't believe that there's a specific PGY year requirement. I do think that it may be helpful if the person is a little bit higher in the PGY years, just to make sure they have the time available to commit to the board. Erin, can you please clarify?
There's no PGY level, but they do have to be a resident for the entire term, which is May through May.
Yeah, it's very helpful. So they can't be a graduating resident and then apply. They would need to be in the year prior to graduation. Great question. The Board of Trustees. So the SAM Foundation Board of Trustees, this is a closed election where only the Board of Trustees votes on the slate. And they're specifically looking for gender diversity on their board. And the goal of being part of the foundation is if you have a strong commitment to fundraising, if you're interested in fundraising, this would be a very good potential match for you. The goal of the foundation is to support research, and they provide strategic direction, financial oversight, and fundraising capacity for the SAM Foundation. You may have seen that the board recently was able to make a substantial $1 million donation to the foundation. So we're really interested in supporting the foundation, and they have an extremely important role both within the society, but also within the specialty. So this is a great opportunity if this is of interest to you. And then this is our SAM nomination guide. If we can open this, please. So the goal when this was developed was to provide as much information as possible to help you as you consider opportunities within SAM. And on this first page, it talks about this is an opportunity to expand your leadership skills and to be collaborative with other folks. And I've certainly found that to be the case for myself within SAM. I've met so many wonderful people that have led to opportunities both within academia and otherwise. So something to keep in mind. We'd like to review next the member at large position on the SAM Board of Directors. We spoke briefly about it at the beginning, but I just want to provide more information. So there are 2 positions available for the member at large position. Each are a 3-year term with the possibility for renewal of 1 term. And so there are 2 positions available for that. And then just to provide a little insight in regards to the Board of Directors time commitment, we have in-person meetings that are listed there. So we have a meeting at the SAM annual meeting at the start of the term. So that would be May of 2026. And then we have additional meeting at the SAM headquarters in the fall, typically in the September timeframe. And then an SAM board retreat, typically that's in January over the Martin Luther King holiday weekend. And then also there would be an additional SAM meeting then at the end of the year term in May again. So those are in-person meetings. And then we also have a monthly meeting that occurs on Tuesdays, 2-hour meeting each month. And then in addition to that, you'll have the opportunity to work with different groups. You may be on a task force. We recently had a task force related to the academic emergency medicine editor-in-chief role. And you'll serve as a liaison for different committees and interest groups. So you'll be able to communicate, attend those meetings, and be able to serve in a role to support them as they continue their activities within the society. I'll ask any additional comments from the folks who have been members at large on the call. Ali?
I think you actually covered it really well. I think the most wonderful part of being a member at large is actually learning about the society that you may not have directly come up in. You might have been a leader of a committee or a leader of an academy, but our members do such amazing things that are so diverse that one of the best things is learning about them and being a liaison with them and then teaming up with them as they develop new ideas. And so that's one of the things I've just loved about being a member at large.
Thank you, Ali. Wonderful. And then if we can scroll down, please, so you can see different photos. And then in terms of what does the board do, we set organizational direction and ensure the necessary resources and provide oversight. It's just such an exciting time to be in academic emergency medicine. And I think there's so much opportunity when you serve as the board to be able to impact things within our specialty, to be part of the conversations at the national level about things that are important and will be impactful, within education, research, bedside teaching, all of those things. So it really is a wonderful opportunity and has been, a great source of both career development and growth for me. And I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to serve on the board. So I would definitely strongly encourage you to consider running, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have either during the session or even offline. And here at the bottom of this page, it talks about the board liaison role where you're, serving as a conduit between each group and the board, and they may have topics that they're talking about in one group, and you may collaborate with board member from another group where they have similar interests, and it's a way to develop synergy across the organization. And then our nominating committee, as we mentioned, there's one position available, and the nominating committee essentially selects candidates to, fill the naturally occurring vacancies within leadership through SAEM, and then reviews the candidates' materials and makes a recommendation to the board about the slate of candidates for potential election. So it's really an exciting opportunity to be on this group and to be able to, learn about all the people within the organization who are doing wonderful things. So I highly recommend it. And then the bylaws committee position, I'll just briefly say that this is one position available for a 3-year term. And I know Ronnie and Curto are going to talk in a little bit more detail, so I'll leave it to them since I know they have some upcoming slides. And then as we scroll down, other important SAM information, we have the organizational structure, there's an outline there. And then of course, we want to acknowledge and support our wonderful staff who take care of so many things and help us keep everything moving efficiently and supporting the members effectively. So many thanks to them. And I will turn it over to Ronnie at the next slide.
Thank you very much, Jody. This is a great opportunity for people on the line who are even considering the Bylaws and Governance Committee. So really the main focus of the Bylaws Committee, and just FYI, there's a link there for those who are interested in seeing the whole PowerPoint. We're just going to cover the highlights of this. Is really looking at additional members of the Bylaw Committee, which is a staggered committee. We usually have 3-year terms. There's really just 3 of us. So it is a small committee. We work very closely together. We cover a lot of topics in a short amount of time. So that's the beauty of the Bylaws Committee. We are small, but we're mighty. And we go over a lot of different policies. So basically, what we're talking about is the different areas that the Bylaws and Governance Committee works on. One of the things that is the various different articles. There's 13 articles. Every few years, we review all of the bylaws. Sometimes we have to add sections that will ultimately be approved by the board. And in addition, you can go to the next slide. We actually also review several of the policies. We review documents, email correspondence. The policy review is actually pretty time intensive, but the beauty of it is we have 3 very dedicated members who each take a part of this. I think what's also nice is our meetings are usually very brief because when you have a small committee, we kind of meet and we each are assigned a task and we try to get through this in a very efficient manner. We meet roughly every 1 to 2 months, depending on how much work needs to be done. When we're doing the policies, we're meeting just about every month to make sure everybody covered their topic. And then we also meet annually at the SAM conference. And there's a little bit of offline work, as I kind of alluded to. We each kind of divide and conquer on that particular area. Some of us will take turns in writing up a pulse article to kind of introduce the larger membership to what the Bylaws and Governance Committee does. And I think we've got one more slide, I think. Yeah, and this is basically the eligibility. Has to be a current SAM member. It is a 3-year term. Becomes a chair in the 3rd year. Ideally, we love people who have prior service on SAM committees and task forces. So you have some pretty broad familiarity with all the various committees. We work pretty closely with the board, and our board liaison, Erin, is awesome. You have to be very detail oriented and policy minded. It isn't as dry as it sounds because you heard me say 13 articles, but it actually is quite interesting to understand the structure and the policies that our wonderful organization goes through. And I'll just open up to Edgar if he has any other commentary. I just want to make sure I give some equal time to my partner in crime.
Yeah, I appreciate the moment to just kind of mention and their term. And I think, again, the importance of the bylaws committee, again, is we're looking at, protecting fairness, right? Things within the election process, our representation, understanding due process. So, it's a foundational aspect of the SAM organization. And as Ronnie mentioned, it's, there can be potential, some intensive work that needs to be done depending on the amendment season. But for the most part, we're efficient and, the usual duties will only require about an hour meeting per month on average. So I think this is a great way to kind of show, continued commitment to the SAM mission. And again, if anybody has any questions, I'm still young in the process. By the time I'm in year 3, I'm sure I'll be able to answer anything else in more detail. But thanks again.
Great. Thanks, Edgar.
Thank you both. That was very helpful. And then we also wanted just to review the volunteer opportunities within the society. Joining a committee, it's a great way to get involved, to get to know other people within the organization. It offers up collaborative opportunities, whether that be on SAM work that you're doing or potential future projects. future educational ventures or potentially research. So something certainly to keep in mind. The committee interest form is open now until October 10th. And if you didn't receive the email or are unable to locate it, please do reach out to governance for your personalized link to apply. And then there's also within the committee structure, you heard at the introductions today, several people mentioned that they were subcommittee chairs or committee chairs. It's a great opportunity to be able to contribute and also develop your leadership skills. And finally, we have the academies and interest groups. You can also join those anytime by visiting your online member portal and checking the groups that you're interested in. And there's no cost to join those, so it's a great opportunity to be able to meet and collaborate with others who have similar interests. And there are also interest group chair leadership opportunities available. I think some of the people on this call are former interest group chairs, so certainly keep that in mind as well. And then finally, next slide, please, we have the upcoming webinars, which is specific for the RAMS board. So if you have a resident member who you think may be a good candidate, this is a great opportunity for them to learn more about the RAM board. So please, you can share the QR code with them and they can register through the link within the PowerPoint. So I'll open it up for questions. I did want to just mention two things quickly. One is, as the member at large position on the SAEM Board of Directors, it's very common to run more than once for that opportunity. Sometimes when you do the first nomination and application, part of that is getting your name recognized and others to know about you, read your statement, understand more about who you are and what you can contribute. So please consider that it may, that there is a chance that there would be more than one run before you're successful. I know that has been the case for many board members within SAEM. So please keep that in mind as you contemplate the opportunity. And then I would also encourage you to review the SAEM strategic plan, vision, and mission on the website as you think about your application and particular ways that you may want to contribute or areas that you might like to focus on. And I will include my email in the chat. If you have additional questions, we're going to open up for questions for the whole group. And I also want to say, if the other nominating committee members, I see that Dr. Courtney has joined us and Dr. German, if they have other things to add, we welcome your contributions and your recommendations as well. Any questions from the group? Any additional advice from any of the committee members or any questions from the group?
I'll start it off because I had a question. When it comes to board liaison, does the board choose what group the board liaison will work with, or is that just kind of randomly selected? Because I'm just always curious, who gets selected as board liaison. You got stuck with working with Otero this time, but I always wanted to know how that is chosen so that the group knows. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So the board liaisons are rotated throughout the different groups to make sure that there's a diverse representation and experience among the groups. So one year you may be the liaison for the program committee, and the next year you may be on the education committee to give you a diverse experience, because as board members, our goal is to support the society and its members. And so having a diverse experience and all those different perspectives is very important. And of course, any other board member would like to comment?
I think you nailed it, Dr. Vogel. I will say that, especially for new board members at large, the president often doesn't assign you to the group that you know the best, right? You might be the former AWEM president and be a brand new board member, and you think, well, I already know everything that they're doing. I should be their liaison. But actually, the benefit is for having new ideas come in and having somebody who may not know anything about AWEM, what AWEM is doing, and bringing their new perspectives to it as the board liaison. So like I was saying earlier, I think one of the best things has been learning more about groups that I was never part of coming up in SAEM and just getting excited about what they've been doing.
Great point, Holly. Other questions, comments?
I'll just say hello. I apologize that I was late. I'm a member of my name is Angela. I'm a member of the nominating committee currently, and I'm post night, and this is our Women in Medicine retreat today. So I'm just like holed up in a room here. But for anyone who's interested, please feel free. I put my email in the chat if anyone wants to ask questions. I was a committee chair before here, and I've been involved with AWEM as well, and I've had a great experience on the nominating committee. I think has given me good insight into sort of some of the inner workings of SAEM and also the characteristics of a good board member. So I'm happy to answer any questions asynchronously or now ever.
Nice, thank you, Angela. And I see we have Dr. Courtney. Mark, are you at a place where you could introduce yourself and speak about a little bit?
Yeah, sorry about that. I am happy to. I am on the nomination committee and am former board member, former SAM president, and feel very strongly about kind of the opportunities that service opens up, and I would be happy to communicate with anybody. I am at UT Southwestern, so I'll try to put my email in there. But yeah, I think you did a great job, Jody, of outlining this, and some really good comments from Ollie as well. And I guess I would just also say that there are a variety of ways that you can add to leadership beyond some of these things as well. So if anybody is really interested in, things don't work out in terms of the timing or the commitment or election, that's not really a reflection on you and your ability to serve. It's just sometimes the random way the chips fall. And there are tons of other ways that you can be active in what is an amazingly growing and collegial society. So that would be my only comment to add. Thanks.
Excellent points. Thank you so much, Mark. Additional comments or questions?
I was just going to reiterate, like, any of the guests who joined to find out more, like, please don't be shy, because I think sometimes it generates so many questions, and maybe sometimes people don't know what to ask. So, I think my experience was the first time, SAM, I think, is such a huge, wonderful, complex organization that even though I've been a member for many years, I'm still learning new things every time. And I always wanted to get more involved, because I think, what you put into SAM, you get out of it. And I think, one of the key reasons I was able to achieve professor, whereas like maybe 15 years ago, I didn't think I would ever become a professor, it was because of SAM. It really was. And, I considered running for the board. And then when I put an application in over, I think 5 years ago at this point, the nominating committee actually reached out to me and was like, hey, listen, like, I hadn't been a committee chair at that point or held like a leadership position. And they're like, well, we thought maybe you would be better suited for the nominating committee. And that really helped me learn a lot about SAM and like its members. And I still have a lot to learn. So, I've learned from doing this and from doing the faculty development committee and chairing it that, like, I'm not ready for the board yet, maybe eventually, but that, it's a huge, wonderful task and responsibility. And there are so many roles, like you saw the diversity of the roles that you could run for. And, don't be afraid to ask questions. I think when I had put the application in, I don't know that there was this form at that time. So I think this is really helpful, and do not be shy to ask questions, because, I think that there are a lot of questions to be asked about running.
Very well said. So, yes, very good. I definitely think one of the key takeaways is that we are all available to you if you're interested in leadership, to talk with you. Please don't feel, we're here for you. Don't feel intimidated. We'd be happy to correspond with you by email. We have the resources on the website, including the strategic plan and then the handbook that we reviewed during the meeting today. And then the webinar will be posted as well. We're happy to answer any questions you may have, whether that's today, tomorrow, or next week, or even later in the upcoming weeks when you're working on your nomination form and you may have questions. We're here for you, and please feel free to reach out at any time. Any final, yes, please consider running for a position. Yes, Dustin, that's for sure. It's a great opportunity. And I second Nancy that it definitely helps with academic promotion, just getting to know other people and your opportunities to impact in the specialty. Well, it's been a pleasure seeing all of you. Please feel free to reach out. Thank you for joining today, and it's been a pleasure talking with you.